Hey everybody, it's Motivational Monday with the Greg. I'm excited to have you along today. I hope you had a great weekend. Hey, business athletes, man. Business athletes, we got to get it together right now. We got to get it together. We got a great topic to talk about to help you get it together. You know, it's like getting the weather together. That's what I say, get the weather together. So we're going to come back and have some church. But right now, just want to talk about last week. Man, attitude. It was everything. Got a lot of great response from it. My nephew sent me a song by Kenny Rogers called The Baseball. Kenny must have read the same book as me years ago and wrote a song about it. I didn't know that. A very touching song. I teared up, of course. It's going to be in the link. You can listen to it yourself. But Kenny, it was also just to plug Kenny Rogers because he sang the song about Toledo, which was the Country Palace, which I used to go to and hang out back in the day. Underage, of course. And then he also was a great photographer. A great photographer. You want to check out his work. Great photographer like me. You want to check out my work on Instagram. GHunter_photographer. Come on, join the family, man. But words, we're going to talk about words today. You know, change your vocabulary, change your world. That's what we're going to talk about. Change your vocabulary, change your world. Words are very powerful. We all know this. And if we don't, we should. Because they can build somebody up and destroy somebody. The Bible talks about how sharp the tongue can be. I think it's important that we watch what we say too, because your words also affect the way you think. And if they affect the way you think, then they're going to affect the way your life looks. You know, if you're one of those kind of people that just always have road rage and just always talk in your car, cussing in your car, maybe this is for you. I hope so, you know, because words, you know, you can give life or death with your tongue. And there's different words that I think are empowering and words that are disempowering. And I think these disempowering words, I think we need to kind of think about them when we use them. I think one of the disempowering words I'm thinking about is "I'll try." I think you just throw that one out. You don't even have to try. You don't have to try to wrap your mind around that. I'll try. If you invite anybody to a party and they say they'll try, they're not coming. You can call them out on it. I guarantee. You can call their asses out on it. How about maybe? That's a really weak commitment. Maybe is a very weak commitment. But the one disempowering word that really, really kind of, man, we use it way too much, and for the wrong reasons. And the word is sorry. Sorry. When more and often than not, we can use the word I apologize. Unless you've really hurt someone, you know, offended them, well, the word sorry is definitely needed. But I had a girl come to work for me, and after 2 days of working for me, she was doing a great job. But she just kept walking around telling everybody she was sorry every time she did something. You know, every time somebody was just kind of showing, you know, a little instruction. And she was like, I'm sorry. I said, whoa, girl, you know, think about it. You know, she's saying sorry 20 times a day. You might want to catch how many times you say it a day. Because by the time you get done with saying it 20 times a day and you look at the mirror at the end of the day, what do you see? Nothing but what? Sorry. Your sorry ass. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. That's a disempowering word. So I was telling my grandson about empowering words and disempowering words, and we were growing in the grocery store, and I said, let's have a little fun today, you know? I says, I'm going to try to bump into someone, intentionally bump into them, and see what their reaction is. And we only found 3 situations where it worked. And 2 of them, people said, I'm sorry. And it wasn't even their fault. Next time you go to the grocery store, count how many people say they're sorry to you when it ain't even their fault. It was interesting. The other person just walked away, kind of like looked at us and just kind of walked away. So I was trying to make it as unobvious as possible, you know, inconspicuous, you know, but it was a little tough. But still, I got 2 sorries. You're showing him that I think people live in a lot of fear. And I think I'm sorry, you know, I think that's fear-based. We need to have empowering words, like I can, I will. I'd love to. Yes, I'd love to. The Bible says there's life and death is in the power of the tongue. You know, life and death are in the power of the tongue. If you're going to talk doubt, it's going to grow. If you're going to talk possibility instead, that's what you should be talking. Possibilities. You should always ask yourself, or I kind of ask yourself, I always think this way. You got to think big, and then you got to think bigger yet. You got to think big, and you got to think bigger yet. But I think it's funny because words can kind of like cast a spell. You know, I remember Jesus cursed the fig tree, and there was no figs on it. Well, my sister did a similar thing. Me and my buddy got together because there's these special tomatoes that I like, and he gave me a plant, and we met at my sister's because he lives right close to my sister, and we're going to plant this plant together. So we, all get around this plant, kumbaya, good energy, watering it, tendering it, putting this thing, in the ground. And everything, we had a hot dog cookout afterwards and everything seemed to be fantastic, right? Well, she went on vacation. When she came back from vacation at the end of August, she called me up. She goes, I cursed that tomato plant. I said, what? What did you do? You cursed that tomato plant. It only had one tomato on it. One little tiny tomato. No other tomatoes. I pulled it out of the ground and threw it away. I saved the tomato for you. Come on over and look at it. Bang. So I called my buddy. I said, hey. I said, she cursed the tomato plant. He goes, no way. He was all, no way. I go, yeah, she did. Man, why'd she do that? And I told them what happened. But it's really funny. It is. You can say, you give life and death to the word, to things. I think I kind of say everything. I walk around and understanding words are powerful. I kind of say all is well. Everything is working out for me. If you're going to use words that empower. Empower yourself, but empower others too. If you're in the presence of somebody and they don't leave empowered, so using empowered words will help them. I think of words are like bricks. You're building your future with each one that you lay. I'm going to leave you with something that you can research yourself on YouTube. Dr. Kiyomoto, he did a study on water. And what he did is he filled these jars up with water. And one water he blessed. He wrote all kinds of good things, words like love and, Jesus and all kinds of, and he had a Buddhist monk come in and bless it. And then he has other jars, he cursed at. He cussed every time he walked by, he'd cuss at him. He wrote all kinds of filthy words all over him. After a month of doing that, he froze it, the water, and then put it underneath the microscope. You wouldn't believe how the beautiful snowflake images came up from the blessed water, and how the images were so murky from the cust water. The negative water was all murky and terrible. And if you think about it, your body's 80% water. Your body's 80% water. You need to write. I write on my bottles of water. I always write on my bottles of water. And because I'm drinking that in, I'm 80% water. As far as that goes. So I think it's a great Robert Kiyomoto and the Japanese scientists, and just look up study on water. Japanese scientists studying on water. So I think it's important to know that words affect not just you, but everybody around you, but you too. You. So you want to make sure that your water ain't dirty. Let's get your weather together here on Motivational Monday with Greg. Man, let's stay tuned, man. Next week, new episode. I'm looking forward to it. Have a great week, though. Ciao.